Hey, there's Mark. I thought I was completely on my own here.
Well, and my screen froze, or I saw Ted, and but everything was frozen.
I think Google Hangouts is playing with us today, so I don't know. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you have difficulties, right?
Okay, you're
Yes.
back.
That was weird. So hey, thanks again for joining us. I don't know how much you guys heard of this, but Happy New Year. It's 2015. We've got our guest Mark Hardy talk about no resolutions required, which is a theming scenario we've used for the last couple of years, and I'm really excited about it, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this. To prepare for this, I looked, and it's actually been 17 years since I've been doing this practice. So I've got a big head start on everybody, which is, and I'm happy to share the experience and how this can benefit you. So where would you guys like to start?
Oh gosh, let's start from the beginning. That's always a good place to start.
Okay, well, why don't either of you just kind of just quickly say how, I mean, we did this last year. John, you and I have been talking, and
Yeah,
maybe just share kind of why we're doing this, and then I can jump in with what people can expect, from the time we have today.
that sounds good, Mark. I can do that. Last year my year was the year of quantum achievement for me. And it was amazing kind of having it's kind of like what we're talking about. You're beginning with the end in mind. You've got a theme that you picked out for the year. I had a lot of different things that I had going on at the time, and I wanted to choose something that I could really work on that covered a variety of areas. Covered the physical and the business and a lot of different aspects of my life. And so we came up with that, and it's amazing how I kept guiding back to that, kept going back to that theme over and over through the year, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's and you're really relatively new to the theme concept, and I want to before we jump in, I want to just kind of issue a blanket disclaimer. As we talk about this, I'm going to the little voice in your head may say, oh, this sounds a little woo-woo. It's abstract. How I've got a deadline next week. How could I apply my theme? We'll answer those questions. But I do want, I mean, we are going to be pushing the envelope. In fact, maybe we're outside the envelope. Who knows? We're outside the box, certainly. So, like I said, I've been doing this for 17 years. And I think a good place to start is really, why theming and why not resolutions? Are you guys game for that?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, well, resolutions, and the reason we wanted to do this webinar or hangout, I should say, early in January is because, I mean, this is the time of year where we really reflect on the year previous, 2014. We look forward to 2015, and we try to make changes, meaningful changes in our lives, in our businesses, in our relationships, to have a better year. I mean, otherwise we're just taking up space, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so resolutions. Now, why don't resolutions work? Well, I've tried them, and I should say as a kind of a way of introduction, we've done Hangouts before. You guys have had me on. We've talked PR. I've spoken at different events about PR, about online marketing, and so you're probably thinking, well, what makes me a planning expert or a productivity expert to talk about this topic? And it's a fair question, and I'd like to answer it right now. Number one is, we've all invested in training, in education and training. I've invested a lot. Probably a round number would be about 75,000 in personal development, and then skills development and business coaching, life coaching, a lot of these different disciplines. And what I have done is I've taken the best of each and I've kind of incorporated it into this theme your year concept. And for me, I want it to be simple. So I wanted to provide just a little bit of background on what, qualifies me to be on this virtual stage today to talk about this topic. So let's talk resolutions. Now, have you guys done resolutions in the past? I mean, it doesn't have to be recently, just any time in your life. New Year's resolutions.
Yes, and they all lasted, if you're lucky, to the end of January.
Well, you know, Ted, you're right in the sweet spots. They've done some research, and it shows that 35% of people will abandon their resolutions within a couple of weeks, and nearly 60% will abandon them after 6 months. So clearly, something's not working, and I've kind of I know because it didn't work for me. So in terms of what I think is the problem with resolutions, number one, you're starting from a negative. Okay, I mean, you're saying I was a failure, and I'm resolving to not be a failure by doing something different. Now I ask you, how empowering is that? I mean, does that get you out of bed in the morning? Is that exciting for you to say, well, I screwed up last year, I'm going to screw up less this year?
No.
Yeah, that was kind of like a pregnant pause there. So, well, of course not. Of course it isn't. I mean, so resolutions have a very limited basis. Now, I will say it's better than doing nothing. It's better than just curling up in the fetal position. But in the long, if you're playing the long game in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to get you where you want to go. And the reason we're all on this hangout today, the reason people have signed up for this is because they value growth. They want these strategies. They want these techniques on how to live their lives more effectively. So what else can you do? Well, you can do things like affirmations, things like that. Those again are good, but they're not tethered to something that is really at your core. So they can be helpful. All these aren't complete wastes of time, but we want since time is so precious, time is my most valuable resource by far. It's not money, it's time. So affirmations have a place. Now what about goals? Goal setting is good, and I still do goals. I used to go kind of a little bit crazy about goals, and there's all sorts of goal strategies. Have you guys ever heard of your goals should be within it's an acronym, SMART goals? Have you guys heard that?
SMART goals. No, I don't think I've heard of that.
Okay,
Yes,
so should I test you, Ted, or do you want me to volunteer the info?
volunteer the info because I am suffering a lot of technical problems, and there's apparently some echoing and John laughing at the same time. It's impossible to understand. So something is definitely really bad with this hangout, unfortunately.
Well, should we, I had asked John earlier, sometimes things aren't meant to be. Should we, live to fight another day?
Ask the question to the attendees, I think, if they can understand what you're saying, okay, or if there's too much interference. I think probably that'd be the best route to be governed by the people listening.
Well, what I'll do is I'll keep going, and then if we need to kind of wrap up and reschedule, and like I said, live to fight another day, that's fine too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think you might be the only one right now who can see the chat. Is that right, Ted? Can you see it?
Yes, I had to go out. That's why you lost me a moment ago to come back.
I got bounced. So I think you're the only one who can actually see replies from the audience right now, Mark.
Right. What I'm getting back is a couple of people said audio is good now. So carry on, please, Mark. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. And I mean, the disclaimer. I mean, this is not a perfect technology. Sometimes we have things like this, and I mean, if I had to theme my hour for right now, it would be the year of patience. So
there you go.
Okay. Yeah, it's all about doing what making the best of what you have at the time. So I was talking about goal setting. I was talking about SMART goals, and basically this is a technique I learned years ago from my business coach, and it's an acronym. So simple, measurable, as if now, meaning make them current, not conditional, realistic, and timed. Simple, measurable, as if now, realistic, and timed. And it's a really good kind of business practice for goal setting, because a lot of people have weak goals. A lot of people don't have goals that tie to a specific outcome. Now, the theme your year concept works with goal setting, and it really kind of turbocharges your goal setting because it works often at like an unconscious level, and a level of things not just kind of your rational mind, but it works on emotion, it works on energy. This is kind of where the woo-woo concept comes in. Hey, look, I see John now.
Hey, the good news is I figured out my video.
Turn it off.
It's a tough crowd.
So we talked about the limitations of resolutions. We've talked about the limitations of things like affirmations. Now, I was just touching on goals. Goals are good, but the thing is, you can get so micro and so granular with goals. On March, I'm going to produce X amount of income via this revenue stream, and whatever. Great. I highly recommend holding yourself accountable. But what's the motivating force that's driving you towards that goal? I mean, I don't know about you, but money to me isn't motivating. It's what I want to do. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what do I enjoy. What seems to just flow effortlessly compared to something that seems like I'm pushing a rock uphill. Those are the things that really energize you and get you motivated to complete your goals. So what I have discovered is that the missing link, the missing ingredient, is having a theme for your year. So you're thinking, what do you mean a theme? Not a WordPress theme. It's a very high-level kind of umbrella approach to your life that extends over every area of that life. So, for example, people ask me, and I've done coaching sessions for themes, well, I have a great theme for business, but it doesn't work so well with personal. And I say, then it's not your theme. I mean, you really have to feel it in your bones that the theme resonates across all areas of your life. And by all areas, I mean business, personal, and spiritual. And something that, let me give you an example of my theme, because often we learn best by example. My theme for 2014 was 2014, the year of rebirth. And there's a reason that, number one, I'm using a verb, and number two, I'm using a theme with one word. It almost reminds me. Are you guys familiar with the like the Chinese calendar, the Chinese zodiac? How every year is a different animal.
Yes.
Well, there's something similar with theming your year, because it's not Chinese New Year's yet, but I think we're ending the year of the goat. And if you look at that calendar, each animal has certain characteristics and attributes associated with people that are born. It's almost like the astrology signs here. Like I'm an Aquarian. Aquarians have certain traits and tendencies. Well, it's the same thing with the Chinese calendar. So what I like about that is they don't say the year of and they give you a big long explanation. It's one animal that represents different characteristics. So first tip in terms of theming your year, you want it to be a verb, not a noun, not an adjective, but a verb. And I can give you plenty of examples because I have 17 years of material to draw from. So last year, 2014, the year of rebirth. So how did I live that theme? How did I manifest the theme? How did I see that in looking back, that theme, I was consistent. My goals and my life was in alignment with that theme. So I'll give you just a couple examples from each area. So let's talk business. Okay, business. I recently renewed a client relationship that I had probably 12 years ago or more. That's when I had an advertising agency, and I was working with a company who provided insurance for entertainment venues. Um, I knew the founder. He's gone on to found the largest music-based cancer charity in the world. And so there was a rebirth in that relationship. There was also a rebirth in what he wanted me to do. His partner was speaking in front of the World Cancer Congress. The World Cancer Congress brings dignitaries from every nation to one place. In this case, it was Melbourne, Australia. 3,000 people, researchers, clinicians, pharmaceutical companies, political figures. They were all at this cancer congress, and he wanted my help with his partner's speech. His partner was doing the keynote and the closing presentation. Well, hey, guess what? His partner is an entertainer. He's a musician, but he's not a professional speaker, a motivational speaker. So I actually experienced rebirth on two levels. Number one, it was a rebirth of the relationship. Number two, it was a rebirth in terms of getting me back into speaking. I haven't done that much speaking this year. I've been doing a lot of consulting. And so now not only am I back in speaking, but I'm helping Mike Peters, who's my consulting client, connect with an audience. Typically when I speak to an audience, it's similar people, but I mean, you've got a whole range of different people at this cancer congress. So those are a couple examples of how I experienced the year of rebirth. And then I have a little prop here. This is something that in my spiritual life that I experienced in 2014, and I don't know if you can read that. This is actually a certificate from being baptized.
I can read it.
Okay, so in looking back on this, and I have other ways that you can really kind of dive down in terms of seeing, did I live my theme? Was I consistent with my theme? But those are just a couple examples. So do you guys have any other questions about my theme? I know, John, that we had talked about maybe doing a little bit of coaching for your theme, but I want to make sure before we do that, I give everybody who's watching and listening just a little bit more context on why themes are so important.
No, and that's good, and I think you gave some good examples, Mark, of how it affected you in a couple different ways. So,
yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I've noticed, and again, I have a knowledge base of 17 years, and I mentioned what those other strategies, what doesn't work about them. What I see happening with a theme is it's a very simple and effective way to improve your decision making. And you can use your theme as a filter. So I will give you, now we're in 2015. My theme for 2015 is 2015, the year of presents. And we joked about it, not Christmas presents, the other kind of presents, I actually had 6 finalists, and actually I bounced them off my wife, I bounced them off some colleagues, and I kind of did a little bit of extra kind of reflection, and presents just fit. And the reason it fit is because I'm going to be doing a lot more video. Hey, guess what? I'm starting doing a video within the first week. That is going to improve my presence online. In terms of my relationships, I want to be more present. I mean, a lot of times we have a problem with, and this is a great book, The Power of Now. We're either worried worried about the future, or feeling bad about something that happened in the past, and we're not really present to this very moment, because really this very moment is all we have, each and every day. And then obviously, being more present in my marriage. There's always ways to improve communication, and things like that. So those are just some examples of how I am adapting or how I'm living my my theme, for the first few days in January. Now, let me kind of talk a little bit about how this works, because what I find is I can go. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It was a revolutionary book called The Tipping Point. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
And what he has a technique which he calls thin slicing, and it's actually kind of a technique I think that the researchers use. And the idea is you make a decision when you just have a thin slice of information or a thin slice on a slide that you're looking under a microscope. You don't have all the data. You don't have all the facts. You have to make a judgment and a decision based on what you only have in front of you. And what he was saying is, for those that kind of develop this thin slicing technique, it's like a muscle, you exercise it, that 80% of the time they made the right decision. Even though they didn't have all the information they needed, they were guided along the right path. And I find the same thing with themes, is that it helps me decide. So, if I'm looking at a marketing opportunity, I can say, how is this going to help me with my presence? Obviously, if I'm doing a video and I'm syndicating it, that's the other thing. But if it's something where I'm totally in the background, or I'm a ghostwriter or something, and I'm not going to be connected to something that will have significant change, then maybe that's not the best thing for me to live my theme. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I can think back a number of times last year when I kind of reflected back. I said, is this going to help me advance my theme, or am I going in the opposite direction? So I know I did exactly the same thing. It does. It gives you that kind of guiding principle that, you follow through the year.
Mm-hmm. And I'll give people some other examples too, because there are a number of different ways. The one thing you want to do is you want this to be congruent with your values, with your character traits. Presence may be a great theme for me. Quantum achievement may be a great theme for John. But we want something customized to you. This is not one size fits all. This is something that is unique to you, each and every year, because come 2016, you're going to come up with a new theme. The other thing is that, think about this. Flash forward to being in your golden years, and if you're in your rocking chair or something on the front porch, and your memory is not as good as it used to be. If you theme your years, it immediately connects you with some of the best things about that year. I'll give you two examples. I did the year of adventure, and one of the best ways I manifested that, this was actually 3 months after 9/11. I went to China for a month. It was a huge adventure. There were some risks. Travel, particularly international travel, was still a little skittish, and yet I already had the trip planned and booked, and it was one of the best travel experiences of my entire life. And there were other things that where I manifested adventure. That was just on kind of recreation side. On the business side, I took more risks. I tried some things I hadn't done before. I got out of my comfort zone. In fact, I can tell you with absolute certainty, the reason that I'm talking to you today is because one of my years, my theme was the year of transformation, and I decided that my background is in writing, and writing is often kind of a very solitary activity. You're in yourself, you're in a little creative cocoon, and then you write something, you send it out, or what have you, for working remotely. You're not employed by anybody. I was freelancing, and I just wanted something more. I wanted a higher level of connection. And that was my my catalyst for taking speaker training. And I took T. Harv Ecker's Train the Trainer course, both 1 and 2, and it transformed my life. Not just getting up on a stage, anywhere I am comfortable speaking to complete strangers. And this, I will tell you this, you guys, this is from somebody who in school was fearful of the teacher calling on me because I didn't want to talk in front of the rest of the students. This is from somebody that my first few years of advertising, I was terrified that they were going to have me actually present the material that I was actually creating. So I have really done a transformation, and I love it, and it comes easily for me. And that's one of the reasons I want to do videos. Sometimes a video, and John, you probably feel this way, it's easier for you to do a quick video than it is to do like a quick blog post where you're actually writing.
Well, that's true.
So, I mean, I really, I'm very passionate and excited about this because it opens new doors for you. And the other thing too is I'm motivated when I think about my theme, when I think about opportunities that present themselves. When I left and started work for myself, that was the year of independence. I started a new business. I started a new relationship. Going back to the whole thing about the rocking chair, if you look back on each of these years and you say, what did that year stand for? What really stood out? Because, let's face it, there's a lot of micro stuff that seems really urgent at the time, but once you get past it, and even, like months or even a year past it, it kind of fades away, doesn't it?
Totally does. Totally fades away after a while.
So, the other thing that I just have a couple more tips on themes. The other couple things that I like about it is it's simple, and it's something that I mean, if you are wanting to be consistent with your actions, if you have to jump in and watch a video or load up a CD or create some kind of or open up some kind of software, you're not being present. And so this is very simple. It's a way for you to stay on track, for you to align your goals, and for you to have some fun. I mean, I can't believe how serious some people are about their goals and their business. And I mean, if you're not having fun, I mean, if you're not really enjoying what your life is about, whether it's business, personal, or spiritual, then step back and kind of and look at things in a new way. And I think theming your year can be an integral part of that process.
It's so hard for me to take Ted seriously like this. It must be Ted's year of goofing up.
Have fun. So I had to do it.
Well, I did bring some props, but I don't think I could top that. The
fun of Hangouts.
Indeed. So what questions do you guys have for me about themes? And then I thought what we could do is, John, you and I could give you a little bit of coaching about your theme, or if there's anything you want, you mentioned about your theme last year, because you shared a couple ideas for your theme for 2015, and I think it'll help people in terms of developing their theme. And then I did have a reward. I know we started late. I did have a reward. And John, I had sent you the link. I don't know if this is something we can put in the chat or we'll have to follow up with all the registrants. But I'm offering my 2015 checklist. And basically it's got 8 items that if you go through that, it'll help you choose your theme, make sure it's in alignment with who you are as a person and where you want to go. So that's my gift to you, and we can share that either near the end if we can get the chat figured out, or we can just follow up via email.
No, Ted can share that now, I think, if he says he's got the Webinar Jam app. If you want to just stick that in as a sticky, Ted, it's the PDF checklist. Now I can't hear you while you're muted. But yeah, we do have that. We do have that checklist, and I think Ted's got the ability to put that in.
Okay, good. I was just looking over a couple things.
All right, he says he's got it, so good. Fantastic.
Yay, something worked. So John, what? Tell me. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do a little kind of laser coaching about your theme. It's gonna help, I think, people make this theming concept more accessible. It also gives, an opportunity for you guys to participate. This isn't just my show. You were gracious enough to invite me. So you're familiar with the theme concept. What did you, I guess we can start one of two ways. One is you can say, well, here's kind of my prototype or my theme,
Well, it's
kind of
definitely
placeholder.
definitely my prototype, because
Uh,
what I told you earlier is I said, it's one of those years where I really want to kind of focus in on results. I'm trying to shave off a few pounds, like many of you probably are, right? Trying to get a couple things together business-wise and really bring around a little more focus on the results side of things. So originally I came up with the general theme of the year of results, but you said it really should be more action-oriented.
well, it is. I think if I recall, you had an adjective in front of that, and I said
I think it did.
Yeah, I think So you've already fixed that. So we can go through the checklist, and that is, is there a common thread to the result that you want to achieve that carries over business, personal, and spiritual? Because everybody wants results, but results mean different things to different people. I mean, I had a psychologist colleague tell me that a lot of times where relationships have conflict is what's called shared meaning, where there's one thing, but one partner in the relationship sees it in a certain light, and the other partner sees it in a different light, and they both think that each person should see it in their perspective. So I'm curious. I mean, the first thing I hear about results is I want to quantify it. I also want to make sure that there's a passion component there. So unpack what results means for you.
Well, what I was thinking of it, I think what you're asking me, if I can rephrase it a little bit differently, is there a carryover a little bit from the year of achievement that kind of strings into everything from last year and kind of carries it forward? Is that right?
That's part of it, but I just want to make sure that I really understand when, because you have your interpretation perspective, and it may force you to think a little bit deeper about what results means to you. So, so just unpack. You talked about losing weight. I mean, the pounds come off, but what's the result of that? I mean, it's kind of like we're writing copy and it's features versus benefits. The feature is you're losing weight. The benefit is, you've got more energy. The benefit is your wife starts calling you Mr. Sexy.
I think it's got a lot of those benefits actually, but I think the big benefit for me, just be the weight thing I mentioned, being healthier. But I think in a lot of different areas, it's just kind of being more conscious of quantifying things. Being more conscious of I don't want to say totally putting a number on it, but where it's leading to.
Okay, so let's play a little back and forth here. So, as you were talking, John, I started thinking. One of my themes for one of my years was the year of performance. Now, if you think about it, results, there's a process that you go through. So you go through different stages, and you get that result. That result is on the other side. A lot of times, I've heard, going back to goal setting just briefly, if you meet all your goals, you're setting them too low. If you don't, if you're meeting like maybe less than 20% of your goals, you're setting them too high. So your goals, you want to stretch yourself. I've 30-40% is kind of a good kind of sweet spot in terms of goals. But in terms of results, there's a process that you go to get to that result. And so what I would ask you, and we don't necessarily have to solve it now, is while the outcome is important, the reason I mentioned the goals is, if you go through and you only meet 20 or 30% of your goals, you'd say, oh, some people may say, gee, I failed, and that's not really true, because the essence of goal setting is, it's not necessarily you hitting that goal, it's the person you become in the process of trying to attain that goal. You have transformed who you are because you have something that you're reaching towards, or you're striving towards. And whether you cross that finish line or not, in some cases doesn't necessarily matter, because the process is what is important. So that was one thing that I would ask you: is it that outcome, or is it the process that you go through that you really want to focus on?
That's a good question. It's probably a bit of both, but I'm thinking, I want to say I'm a little more focused on the outcome, personally.
Mm-hmm. Another option would be, and again, part of this is, it's kind of like with our themes, sometimes we have our own kind of language, in terms of, when I put things into my task manager, I phrase it a certain way. My wife does things completely differently, and her system works for her, my system works for me. So this may be part of it, and that's, when when I coach people, I want to always be sensitive to your language of your life. Everybody has their own language of how they live. So another thing, and I'm not saying to replace results with this, we're just brainstorming, right?
Yeah.
So if I was going to do your theme, I would do the year of accountability, where whatever I put down, I want to be accountable. Now, if I don't get there, I have to. So with that, or the year of agreements, because I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we postpone things because. And I've done this. I've been guilty of this. I mean, I've had a huge influx of client work. I got 5 new clients in December, typically a very slow month, people spending the holidays. And it's forced me to kind of delay some of the things on the product side of my business.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be accountable. I don't want to just keep pushing those back. I want to. So part of the presence, going back to my theme, just as an example, part of a presence is, again, beefing up my authority as an online publicity expert, but then also establishing presence in new areas. I'm going to be doing some things with brand storytelling and some other things. I'm writing a book about brand storytelling with a colleague. So, getting back to results, accountability, kind of look at those agreements. Look at what you feel most passionate about. The other thing too is the other reason I like verbs is they don't become cliched. It's like I've done. I write marketing copy, and if I have to see somebody saying they offer quality service, I'm going to gag. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Quality service. Who cares? I mean, it's hollow. It's empty. So you really want to make sure your theme, packs the energy that you want. So after that kind of coaching, any feedback in terms of, yeah, it kind of meets some of that criteria, but maybe I want to kind of think about it a little bit more.
Actually, accountability kind of resonates. That's probably along the line of it. I'm looking at the questions Ted posted here, and Lakshmi had asked John if he wants more money. Who doesn't, Lakshmi? Yeah, I mean that would obviously be, I think, something that comes out of it. The reason that I'm saying I want to be more accountable, I'm looking at results, is because that is definitely part of the process. I'd like, more money. I'd like to be held accountable to lose the weight, to get in better shape, to eat better, the whole 9 yards. So I think, yeah, that's definitely part of it. But the financial part, and then obviously you want to carry it into the other areas. And
So for example, I mean, and I'm just brainstorming. I mean, I don't, I mean, we talk quite a bit, and I don't know. We've actually never met in person, and in
mhm,
face space, as a colleague of mine likes to call it. But I mean, if money is a part, but you have to think, how does it apply to your personal life? How does it, so, is there an accountability component with your children? With your family, with your wife, with if you said that hey, we're going to go on a family vacation, and then you postpone it, well, hey, that's not really being accountable.
right. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
so I mean, I think accountability has gotten overused a little bit. And I'm not saying that I love
Quite.
it. I would use it, but I think
Yeah.
sometimes people use it and they don't mean it. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's almost contradictory. They're talking about accountability as if talking just solves it. No, talking doesn't solve it. You got to do the actions to be fully accountable.
Totally. And money to me is a great way of keeping score. It's a good way of keeping score, right? It's quantitative. It's something we can put a measure on. Definitely a great way of keeping score. And somebody also had asked, where do you start to reinvent your career? So many people complain their careers aren't working, bad bosses, not enough money, etc. I think this actually fits in quite nicely because you're talking about living by a theme. You're looking towards a certain result, and it's amazing the things that kind of when your mind is seeking that result, the things that kind of fall into your lap almost by accident.
Absolutely. And I do. Before we wrap up, uh, I do have something that I want to offer everybody, and it's called Theme Your Year, Chart Your Life Strategy Session. It's really, and that would actually fit in perfectly because I've had to reinvent myself several times. I mean, I started, working at ad agencies and marketing firms, and I left. And granted, I stayed in the same industry, and I started a marketing firm, but I was one of the first to embrace, the online. I mean, I was shocked when I was looking at my records. This September marks 10 years since I introduced my PR traffic program. And I mean, people think, oh, online press release has only been around a few years. I was doing them in 2004. So granted, that's still marketing, but I think part of it is before you just kind of do a complete, left turn or 180 degrees, whatever metaphor you want to use in terms of a new career choice, you want to make sure that it fits your skills and that you're doing it not out of necessity or scarcity. Like, hey, business has just dried up, and now I'm going to go work at Target. I mean, it's, I mean, so I'm convinced. I mean, I'll give you an example of how my business has changed a little bit. Copywriting has really been commoditized. I mean, people, say, hey, can I get you to write something? I send them to Fiverr. I send them to other places because, it's not bad and it's very, very affordable. Now, I could have stuck in that whole commoditization mode where, people are saying, well, I've got somebody who's going to charge 7 cents a word, and you're charging 12 cents a word, and I'm just going to go with the 7 cents a word guy. Well, I looked at, did I really enjoy copywriting? So I'll give you an example. I do enjoy copywriting, but I enjoy small, intense projects. So I just started focusing on headlines, and I ended up getting relationships with 2 New York agencies where all they do is come to me for headlines. They have other writers to do the brochures and other stuff, but that big grabber, that thing that really grabs people, now I've got a reputation for that. And hey, guess what? I launched a website, Headline Makeover. So, yeah, it is difficult to make a change. If you can use your existing skills rather than having to kind of start all over, certainly that's better. But I mean, it also depends on where you are in your life. I mean, I had thought at one point, I'll teach. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy impacting other people. I need to go back and get my my master's or at a minimum to teach probably depending on where I want to teach. So yeah, I think this is a very long answer, but I want to provide some context that it can help people that are making a dramatic change in their careers.
Got another question about, can you give us some examples of theme and vision?
Theme and vision?
Theme and vision.
In terms of how the vision you have for your life is reflected in your theme, or?
I believe that's how I would interpret it.
Okay. Well, I've never. I've never been a big fan of mission statements. It's like, great, it's a plaque on the wall. What does it mean? Does somebody get up and live that? Most of them, I think there was one study where they took mission statements from the top 20 or 30 Fortune 500 companies, and they said, can you tell who it is? And virtually you couldn't. And some of them were even similar. And you'd find out, hey, one's Kraft Foods and one's, Ford. They do completely different things, and yet their mission statements are very similar. So, typically when you're kind of developing you have mission, vision, and then some other things. So, a lot of times I think people get vision and mission mixed up. So, I think mission is something that is more kind of about who you are or who your company is or how you want to show up in the world, and vision is more of the blueprint, the plan, how you execute that mission. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and maybe even what you want it to look like 10 years out. That's the vision versus what you want to be known for right now.
Yeah, you have, and one of the things, you're not doing a theme that has a 10-year horizon, or a 5-year horizon, or a 3-year horizon. And when you're doing goal setting, a lot of times you'll do, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, maybe you do 10 years, it depends. And you kind of, incorporate your vision in that. The whole idea of the theme is we only have a limited amount of time on this earth, and we want each day to stand for something. We want each year to stand for something. I can't believe how time is flying by, and it doesn't seem like it sometimes. Sometimes things drag, and the theme just makes sure that your year is as robust as you can possibly make it in all areas of your life, not just business.
Yeah, I was going to say, time is not our friend. For sure.
No, it isn't.
For sure, time is not our friend. So, any other questions over there, Ted?
Yeah, that was MH said it's vision, not mission. So it is actually vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's that's how I would kind of fit vision, or how I would fit theming into vision. Now you might here's an additional thought. You may find, and this gets again to my personality. My big thing is I'm not analytical, I'm creative. So at one point I thought I wanted to be a cartoonist, and I found I could write better than I can draw. Well, I got bored. One of my first couple of jobs, I worked for a company. I got bored. I got bored just doing the same thing for the same company who makes the same products. So I went to work for an agency, so I could be working on fast food in the morning, a bank commercial in the afternoon, and I liked that variety. I liked learning about different things. So for me, when I look at kind of over the course of the last several years, there isn't there's a variety of themes. I was just looking, I've had the year of transformation, the year of adventure, the year of abundance, the year of performance, the year of rebirth. And part of it is if something happened the previous year. So rebirth for me in 14 was based a lot about what happened in 13, where I kind of lost track in some ways, and I wanted to regain my footing, and it was important that I have that as kind of my theme moving forward. Now that I've done that, And so you can kind of almost see I'm kind of stacking themes. So I had rebirth, I got to a certain position, now I'm expanding that position with a year of presence. So when did we start? I mean, I know we started late, and I want to be sensitive to everyone's time, and I also want to make sure that they get the checklist, and that I can share with everybody before we wrap up. I mean, I'll stay on as long as as many questions as we want to answer. I'm happy to provide some insights. So you guys tell me. This is your show.
Awesome. Well, we've been on about an hour now, just shy of an hour. No? What do you mean no?
Not by the time we started. It's
yeah.
Like, but
well, from when we actually started, yeah.
There's a bit of noise about here. That's why I've been on mute most of the time and not been sort of getting engaged more. But I think my theme, while people are thinking about what you just asked them, is that production, and that's how I finished last year. And I've started this year, and I think that's where my focus will be on, is more production of our products and actually completion.
And Ted, how will that carry over to your personal life and your spiritual life?
I would probably say that when things are done and completed, it's enjoyment on my part and a sense of achievement. Also, when the real thing for me is when people take the products that we produce and it makes sense to them, they can use them, and you're thanked for producing that because it's made them start going up the ladder from where they were stuck. And by using the information you supplied them, they've been able to start elevating themselves up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Ted, as you were talking, I was reminded by something a colleague told me, and I think you've got this incorporated into your kind of process, but I just want to make sure. A lot of times we don't enjoy our victories enough. I mean, think about the sports world. Think about what happens. I mean, I'm from Chicago, and big hockey fan, and my team, the Chicago Blackhawks, won a game recently in overtime. Huge celebration, and at center ice, and everything else. They also played in the Winter Classic, which was a hockey game outside that was televised nationally. Certain industries, celebrate achievements, and in entertainment they have award shows, Oscars, Emmys, ESPYs, ESPN. A lot of times for entrepreneurs, we don't celebrate our victories the way we should. So the reason this applies to you is production. You finish something, you feel good about it, it has some success. Celebrate. Don't jump right into the next thing on your to-do list. Enjoy yourself a little bit. So have you done that? Or if you have, is there some ways you can think about maybe amplifying your celebrations? Because that, in turn, motivates you for the next thing to produce.
Yes, sorry about that. The dog's on cue, lapping his water in the background, the usual. Yes, no, I have done that, and actually last night I was on a hangout with somebody. They asked me to actually, if I'd listen in, and I listened in, and then after they'd produced the hangout and went off air, I went in the green room with them. And it was a tremendous feeling because this particular person that I was with, I taught hangouts because we were all on a course, I won't mention whose, but the part of the theme was Hangouts, and unfortunately what they forgot to do was the training on Hangouts. So the other people in there didn't know how to do Hangouts, and because we'd already been doing it, myself and John and everything, we were able to take those people and actually get them confident with Hangouts, tell them what this was for, or if they did something wrong, tell them what they did was wrong, and everything. Well, this particular person, from being a little mouse in the corner, didn't know which way to turn, run, or anything else. She runs her own hangouts nearly once a week, and she's so confident, and she's building up followers all the time. And to me, that was something special to celebrate.
Excellent, excellent. And so yeah, I think I mean, it sounds like it was right in the moment, and you were able to share that with her. I encourage John, going back to your theme, accountability. When you're accountable and you have some completion, don't forget the celebration. Don't forget to indulge yourself. You've earned it.
Mark, you're looking at his accountability.
Well, the shirt, the color that I'm wearing, is purple. Purple has a spiritual connotation to it. So this was chosen specifically for this event. I don't know if anybody picked up on that, but purple is often considered a color of royalty, but also spirituality. So, so what else can we talk about? Do we have any other questions? If not, we can begin to wrap up, and I can share with everybody, if you'd like to continue this dialogue with me personally about themes, how you can do that.
Yeah, why don't you tell them that, Mark, and then it gives them a little bit of time to come up with some additional questions, and we can catch those after that. So you want to tell them a little bit about what you're going to offer?
Yeah, I just want to pull. I've actually got something on my computer that if I do screen share, I think we can.
You can do that.
We can do this. Yeah, I can. So give me just a second, and I'm glad we were able to overcome our technical difficulties. When we started this, do you have to chop off some of the stuff where we were having some connection issues, like for the replay?
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know yet. I'll have to wait and look at the video.
Okay.
More than likely a little bit, so probably won't be too big a deal.
Mark,
Okay.
which link did you want to share? Was it one that John had?
Yes. Hold on just a second.
If not, I'll share my screen so you can talk about it if you want. Okay.
There it goes.
Can you? Okay.
I can see that. Theme my year, chart my life strategy session.
Okay, very good.
Have you watched them, John?
Is the
Yes.
is the type big enough?
Yeah, I can read it. I can read it fine.
Okay. So a little bit of context. So this is my what I do most of the time is I do a lot of consulting. I help speakers with their marketing. I have products about PR and publicity, and so that's kind of my focus. One of my passions is at this time of the year for a handful of people, I want to expand this theme your concept. And it's a funny thing, we all know this, that when you have you've made an investment, a financial investment, you have some skin in the game. You're more motivated. It's like, oh no, I'll just get to it whenever I get to it. No, it's like you've invested money. You want to make sure you get your money's worth. So that's why we're doing this. The other thing is, as much as what I could do and as fast as I can talk, there's no way I can get 15 years of theming experience into an hour and a half call, particularly when we've got technical challenges.
Sorry about that.
No. It happens.
It does happen.
Oh God, I've had any number of spectacular flameouts from a technical standpoint. So I'm calling this the Theme My Year, Chart My Life strategy session, and this is based on kind of what I've been doing and giving you the real tools that you need to make this a success. So one of the things you're going to do, I'm really going to get to know you, have you complete some questionnaires about your skills, about your character traits. That's going to help be the catalyst for your theme. How you can live your theme effortlessly. I mean, if it's work, if it's a chore, if it's an obligation, you're not going to do it. if it flows, if it's fun, you will. So we want to make sure that we have that with your theme. 5 proven ways to hold yourself accountable. Hey, there, John. There's that word again. So this holding yourself accountable for your theme on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. I have some hacks, some ways that you can keep on track and on purpose. How can you just feel it in your bones that the theme is right? I have a certain process that I go through. I don't just pick one thing and just force it into a square peg in a round hole. I really kind of it's almost like a what is it like a wrestling match where I put 2 themes in. It's like, oh well, this one says this one says this. Well, who's going to win? Okay, and then they go on to the next bracket, and that's how I get to my feel in my bones. This is the right theme. 3 bugaboos to avoid when you're picking a theme. I've already told you a couple. Make sure that it's a verb, not a noun or an adjective. Make sure it's as short as possible. I've got others to make sure your theme is on track. How to best align your goals and theme for maximum growth and happiness. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? I mean, we want to be happy, and we don't want to. I mean, there's a saying that when you stop growing, you start dying. So you've got to grow year to year to year. A theme can help you do that. It can help be the bridge from year to year. Any questions, John, so far, or Ted? Okay. All right. So I'm going to all these bullet points, and I wanted to throw in some bonuses. I have something, and John, you know a little bit about this. I use this for my corporate clients.
Yes.
And everybody's familiar with USP. Most people think it stands for unique selling proposition. It did back in the 1960s when there wasn't as much competitive noise as there is now. Now, for me, with myself, my business, or my clients, USP stands for either unique story proposition, what is your story, how does it resonate in the market, or unique superpower. And I think in this case, for a theme, is what superpower do you have? I mean, you guys, collectively, you have a superpower in terms of video, and you push through, just like you did today, technical obstacles. You don't let that stop you. That superpower can triumph over. Yeah, there you go. And Ted, if you've got any kind of superhero costuming, now would be the time.
Bring it on, Ted.
And then another bonus I have is that people maybe it started as Coach University, and now it's called Coachville. This is a resource center that is available for professional coaches, could be business coaches, life coaches, and they have just an amazing tool set of worksheets and planning guides and things. I have over 600 of their resources. I'm going to make 6 of those available to you that are specifically geared towards helping you. So, for example, the folks that are maybe undergoing or thinking about a career change, this will help them kind of figure out what are the attributes, what are the character traits, what are the things that I want to look for in a career that's a good match for who I am or who I want to be. So those, I'm going to include the USP and then the True Values worksheet. I'm going to include my last 3 years. I've done like a write-up of each of my themes, and it's interesting because you can see the goals I set, what I wanted to achieve, and then a recap on did I live my theme. So I think that kind of practical instruction will be very helpful for you in terms of developing your theme. And then obviously access to my custom blend of a lot of these education and training principles, focused down into the theme concept. Normally what I do is for something like this, for like a one-time session, for it to be worth my while, I want it to be at least 395 and above, 350, somewhere around that range. And that's typically what I would do in most cases. For you guys, for the folks listening in, for getting the New York to a good start, for not being handicapped or strapped financially, I'll do this this session, one-on-one time with me and everything that you've seen for $79. So, but there are, it's not a catch. There's just a caveat. Actually, two caveats. One is, I want your theme in place as quickly as possible. January, we're a week in. So, and number two is, the reason I'm doing it at this price is John and I had talked about in 2016, we take this up big time. And by big time means we have our own community, whether it's on Google Plus or Facebook, we haven't decided, and we're really going to take this to the next level and really, have, group coaching and some other things. And I want to get people into the theme process. I want some evangelists that says, you know what, this theme concept, it was a little odd at first, but I took it on and I can't believe the results. So, so John, did you give the link to Ted?
I did.
Okay. All right. So, so yes, you're going to save 316, and then I don't know if you could see this. If I need, these are a couple people that I have exposed this concept to. There's this is a.
You want to do a Control Plus, Mark? That'll boost it up a little bit. A wee bit bigger.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Just plus it up once. Well,
give me just a second.
Move it back down.
All right, hold on.
But it is, I enjoy doing this every year, Mark. It's made a huge difference for me.
This is the easy way.
I've been a big fan of it. There you go.
Okay, so
Perfect.
this is an email I got. This is a colleague. Every year he sends out, some people doing their Christmas cards. He does this at kind of the beginning of the year. Joseph Varghese, and he's in kind of peak performance, personal development. So he can choose any tool and resource that he wants. Here's what he said. My good friend Mark Hardy told me years ago the power of setting a theme for the year as a focal point to keep aiming for. It's something that I've been doing for over 5 years, and each year I've had huge breakthrough results. There's that word, John, results. 2014 was our year to thrive, and it certainly has been just that. I'm declaring 2015 as the epic year. I already told Joseph I need to coach him on that.
I was going to
say. Because he's got an adjective in there.
That's not it. That's not it.
So here's my colleague Jennifer. She talked about the year of the art of courtship. And then here's a colleague of mine, Cy Price. Her theme was the year of simplicity. Shifted from 5 unrelated projects to just one. Created a daily method of operations to simplify workflow. So those are just a few of the examples. That's the other thing. I want. I want case studies. I want social proof. I've got it here. I want more, because for John and I to really start this community, because then, hey, guess what? Don't you think it's going to be more accountable if we're accountable not just to ourselves but to each other as a matter of a community? So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing it for $79. And John, you can send this out in the follow-up email with the replay, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. The other caveat is I'm only going to do at most a half dozen because it takes time. It doesn't just take the hour that we do a hangout. It's prep time and some emailing back and forth. And the other thing is, by the time we get to the latter part of January, you've moved on. You're not as motivated to do your theme. So today's the 7th. The $79 theme your year, chart your life strategy session will expire, at midnight a week from today. That'll still give us some time. It's mid-January to jump in, get your theme, and start getting you on the track that you need to be.
Mark, I'll up the ante a little bit on this. If we're going to create a community and you keep track of folks who take advantage of this, we can let them in early.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. We will scholarship you in. And that's another incentive. Now, I just want to make sure I want to manage expectations. This isn't like, hey, I had my session. Where's the community? This community isn't going to be until 2016, but it will give you a year's worth of experience of your theme, so then you can be a leader or at least a contributor in the community to share your experience with others about what your theme meant to you. And believe me, that is worth far more to you and far more than the $79 for me. I trust me on that one.
Absolutely.
So any other questions? You had said that we wanted to do this quickly and then get back to any questions, and if not, we will wrap this for today. Are we good?
Just waiting to hear from Ted here a second.
Okay. Oh, here, let me stop my screen share.
Hey, welcome back. Here we go. So I hope you guys found this useful. I mean, I know we've done it over this will be my second year.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And this is my second year. We did a hangout last year. In the previous last 3 or 4 years, I've done blog posts. That's another thing. If you're curious, you can go to my blog, 30-Minute PR, and you'll find kind of some of the articles about my themes. I enjoyed this too. This is something that I really enjoy, and I want to share it with as many people as possible.
It's funny too how when you come onto something, it just resonates with you too. Because I know when you said accountability, I was like, ooh, that's it, or that's along the line of what I was thinking. So, no, it makes a big difference.
And I think, John, what would be helpful, because you guys have communities and stuff like that, for me to kind of give you a gentle reminder and or nudge to say, once you've finally decided on your theme, that, hey, just want to, I'm curious about how your theme has manifested itself, over this past week, over this past month, because I find the more you talk about it, the more it lives, and it's not just, in a computer, in a digital document or in a journal or something. The more it lives, the greater success you're going to have.
Very, very true. And I try to put as much stuff in my journal as I can about the theme as I go along, to kind of make notes on, what went right, what went wrong, where it kind of all fell in together during the year too. So I found journaling to be helpful in keeping on track along through the year as well.
Yeah, and that's the other good thing too, that if you do keep a journal and you do a theme, make sure that you start your journal, or you do an entry that says, this is the year 2015. I've chosen the theme, and maybe just indicate a little bit why you chose it and how you see yourself manifesting that theme, and then you can make entries throughout the year, and then you'll have kind of a written kind of record for that word again, accountability, to see how in alignment you were with your theme.
It's very nice, Ted. He's got his little diagram over.
Oh, hold on, let me see.
He created something for you.
Oh, very good.
So there you go. So hopefully you guys got that link, okay?
And we'll send it out in the.
Yeah, we'll send it out.
Cool. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to go live my theme, which is presence, and I'm thinking that there's a presence of a certain type of food that needs to be occupied in my stomach. So.
Awesome. Very awesome. Sounds like a great idea.
So you can apply to personal habits as well. Ted?
Go ahead, Ted.
I was just going to thank everybody for staying with us, and sorry about all the technical difficulties we were having right from the start, but I'm sure with all the information that Mark gave out, it was worth the stay.
Yeah, I too want to thank everybody, and and that's that's a sign that I mean look at a lot of times there's a saying, crisis doesn't build character, it reveals it. So, we could have, one of us could have said, hey, John, get a new computer, or whatever the case. I'm not saying that John needs a new computer, but it was...
John probably needs a new computer.
Well, John needs to be accountable for making some things happen so he can put the new computer into the budget, I think is how that works. So, but I mean, you could see kind of, with an evolved, kind of, someone that's evolved that, how you deal with crisis. And so I really, I really look to John and Ted as experts in this. And I got to tell, behind the scenes, nobody was panicking. We're like, you know what? We're just trusting the process. We're trusting our ability, and we're trusting that you'll understand that this is beyond our control. We're doing everything we can to make it right, and we'll go beyond making it up to you. And I think we've achieved on that, don't you?
Exactly, and we do appreciate you guys taking 10 minutes to put up with us and our challenges. So it was great. It was great having you on today, Mark. Great seeing you guys to join us, those of you who attended today. And happy 2015. You know, I hope it is a year to remember. And if you put this theme in place, it's going to help a lot. I think it'll help everyone tremendously.
And for all those people that go and see the replay, the link will be below the replay. So the free content that Mark give you, I take it will be for the people that watch the replay as well, Mark?
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's the least we can do because, you know, some people may have had to jump off because of the technical things, and I promised it, and I want to make sure that I'm accountable and I'm in integrity, and that's another a really good theme. I've done the year of integrity, and believe me, that kicked my ass. And because, you know, I mean, integrity, I mean, you know, your word is your bond, and being true, and you know, people have different forms of integrity, and I really kind of, you know, tried to achieve probably the highest level I could. So
yeah, and we will email it out too, so I'll send a message out for those of you that registered so you see it. So again, thanks for joining.
Thanks
for popping in, Mark. Glad to have you.
Same
and
here.
Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.